Hi, my name is Carlton French and I'm a senior at Bartram Trail High School, currently dual enrolled. All throughout my life, I've participated in sports. From basketball to soccer to volleyball, I've pretty much done it all. My extremely competitive personality used to lead me to stop at nothing to pull out a win, even if it meant putting my body at risk. A particular event in my past, however, changed my perspective on my personal intensity level when it comes to sports. In 6th grade, I was playing in an AAU basketball game. And AAU games were always very physical because the referees were notorious for not calling a lot of fouls. In the third quarter of the game, a girl on the opposing team lost possession of the ball, and it started rolling down the court. Because I was the closest one to the ball on my team, naturally I ran after it as fast as I could. Unfortunately, a girl on the other team had the same idea, and as we both reached down to pick up the ball, we collided. The other girl ended up having to go to the hospital to get stitches, and I suffered from a concussion. This meant I could not participate in any physical activity or go to school until I was fully recovered, which ended up being almost a whole month later. As concussions have become such a hot topic in our society, an interest in them has sparked in me because of my personal story. My hypothesis is that concussions are not completely preventable. My target audience for my research paper would be young athletes participating in physical, concussion-prone sports, as well as their parents. I think it is extremely important for children and their parents to be educated on concussions and the negative long-term effects they can have on the head before they compete recklessly. Ultimately, this target audience will be the ones who are directly impacted by sports concussions if they do occur. My intentions by the conclusion of my paper are by no means to scare young children and their parents away from sports, because sports provide an immense number of positive effects. My objective would be to enlighten them on the scary truth of what suffering from multiple concussions can do. Additionally, to inform them on the dangers of not healing entirely from a concussion before returning to activity. Essentially, a concussion is a brain bruise, and they take time and rest to heal, just like your average normal bruise. It can become tricky, however, to rest your brain and track the healing process. I plan to provide the factual evidence to deal with the seemingly tricky aspects of a concussion in my paper. I chose to do almost all of my research so far through the St. Johns River online library program. After connecting to the online database, an abundant amount of sources were readily available. This feature allowed me to quickly locate reliable sources on my topic. Stephen Piazza's article, "Why is it so hard to stop sports concussions?" backs up my hypothesis perfectly. It provides valid reasoning and explanations on the topic of concussions. Stephen is a professor in the Department of Kinesiology, Mechanical Engineering, and Orthopedics and Rehabilitation at the Pennsylvania State University, so he is beyond qualified to discuss concussions. Many people think that all it takes to prevent a concussion is a supportive helmet. Stephen Piazza proves this to be nothing more than a misconception. He states, protecting the brain from concussion in chronic traumatic encephalopathy requires more than just increasing the amount of helmet padding. This is because for an impact force to be applied directly to the brain, it would have to first breach the thick protective skull. Injuries to the brain do not require breaking the skull, surprisingly. Damage can occur to the brain, even if it collides with the hard skull. Despite many advances in the medical field, researchers haven't been able to identify a single factor that determines a threshold for concussions. There isn't a way to conduct controlled experiments to determine human concussion risk. However, we do have very detailed measurements of real concussions. Basically, because researchers cannot purposefully give another person a concussion to study it because it's inhumane, there's a gap in our information we have on concussions, which is hindering us from finding an indisputable way to prevent them. In the article, Football Brain Injuries Persist During the Off-Season, the idea of integrating sensors into the helmets to track hits to the head and to monitor how well the helmet is taking the hits is brought up. If this is actually done, it will provide more information that could lead to prevention, but will not provide any immediate answers. While steps are being taken to find a solution, currently the only way to prevent a concussion in sports is to refrain from any physical contact. Both the article by Mary Ann Moon titled Player-to-Player Contact Drives Soccer Concussions and the article by Tara Hyela titled AAP Backs Zero Tolerance for Head-First Hits in Football proposed the suggestion to remove all physical contact from sports. Mary Ann Moon's article is all about the rising number of concussions in soccer, and Terry Hyela's article is all about the immense number of reported concussions in football. Both suggest eliminating physical contact is the only solution to end the large number of concussions. However, both authors go on to explain how, at that point, the entire fundamentals of the game are changing, and they would not be the long-loved traditional activities. Moreover, adding to the notion that concussions are not preventable.
Go.
In the article, Florida leads the way on concussion issue. An alternative outlook is shown. The article states, the Florida High School Athletic Association passed a new rule this summer requiring all athletes to watch a video about concussions and sign a form saying they understand concussion risks. As opposed to changing the actual sports themselves, this outlook provides the athletes with knowledge on concussions so that they know what they're getting into or putting at risk by participating. At this point of the project, I feel like my research provides adequate explanation and information for my research question from all different aspects. From here, I plan to continue researching my topic in hopes of finding additional articles that support and reiterate my previous findings, proving my research to be completely valid. My hypothesis has unquestionably been supported through every article that I've found, and it's validating my prediction that concussions are not completely preventable.